Hey guys, we're back with some more Heroes of the Storm action. Now, with this recent patch you may have noticed that Zagara is one of the heroes that has received a lot of changes. And her playstyle and basically her power has become extremely different to what it used to be before the patch. This is of course the cooldown patch for those of you who are in the future. Hello! If you are after November 2016, how are you still alive? Okay. So I wanted to just make this video and point out a couple of things that Zagara players should still keep an eye on. One of which is something that they should be keeping an eye on anyway, because that's always been something that they have to keep a hold of both before and after the patch. And also three things that I think a lot of people have asked me about on Facebook mostly. I wanted to sort of make a couple of notes about these things in terms of the changes to Zagara post-patch. So, let's talk about the first thing, always be creeping, also known as ABC. Now, if you surf Reddit and you've come across people discussing Zagara, you may have heard about this always be creeping idea. The premise is, always drop creep on the map, wherever you go. Like, as long as you keep creep on the map, you are doing well as Zagara. That remains to be true. And not only does it remain to be true, you now have less of an excuse to not drop creep. Because remember, the patch, creep no longer takes mana, which means even early game, always be creeping. You won't be wasting mana dropping creep anymore, and when your opponents use their spells and abilities to destroy your creep tubers, for example, if Arthas uses his E, which is his, not Frost Nova, but it's his aura, his Frost aura thing, to destroy your creep, he is wasting mana. He's actually wasting mana. The only thing that he gets out of it is killing a creep tuber that you can bring back on a cooldown. That's basically it. So there's really no reason not to drop mana. You have characters like Kalthus, Jaina, who are very mana hungry because they are mages. They survive purely on their mana to deal damage and actually be useful in the game. If they're forced to use their abilities to destroy your creep tubers, well, you know what? That means your creep tuber has actually paid for itself immediately and without doubt. You should also remember that Nydus Worms, which is an ultimate that a lot of Zagaras will probably be picking nowadays because of how strong it is. I'll talk about that in a second as well, but Nydus Worms also rely on creep tuber. You can no longer put a Nydus Worm on the ground. You have to put it where there is creep. So it can be creep that is generated from your Nydus Worm, it can be creep generated from your creep tubers. I am not entirely sure if it can be placed on creep that is generated from your opponent Zagara's creep tubers and Nydus Worms. That is something that I will have to test a little. Another thing I want to talk about is a new notion that I call ABNW, obviously, always be Nydus Worm. A reminder that when you reach level 10, if you decide to pick Nydus Worm as your ultimate, you can place up to 10 Nydus Worms on the map. They have to, of course, be placed on creep. That's the only restriction. You can place 10 of them on the map. So notice how when I reach level 10, I place the Nydus Worm on the bottom of the map, and then I place the Nydus Worm on the top of the map. Luckily, I had a creep tuber already waiting for me at the top of the map, where I can jump literally to the other side of the map. This is something that is very important for Zagara if she is going to play with Nydus Worms, because the split pushing potential for Nydus Worms has become so strong that you really want to have as many Nydus Worms as you can on the map. So of course, with the second Nydus Worm already down at the top of the map, we will go to the middle of the map. Because this is a map with 3 lanes, we will drop a third Nydus Worm. So as you see here, we had a Nydus Worm at the top, but it has been destroyed. That was a poor placement. We have a Nydus Worm at the bottom, we have a Nydus Worm in the middle, and very soon we are going to have a Nydus Worm at the top. What this allows Zagara to do is it allows her to jump between each lane of the map, which is actually a very important thing to have It's a very important ability to have as Zagara if you are going to play Nydus Worms. Remember, Nydus Worms spread creep, so not only do they give you vision, well, not only do they give you transport, they give you vision. And as you can see here, we need to defend mid, so I will be there immediately to assist my allies mid. So a tip, the tip is basically to at least have one in each lane to allow quick access to defend and push any open lane. Another thing that a lot of players have asked me about is the level 16 Hydralisk update. Which one will you choose? Because each one actually fits a certain role. Like, it depends on your playstyle, it depends on the map you're on. So for Brood expansion, which is the first one, I would pick that one on a map where team fights are happening a lot. If you think about it, your summon, your Hydralisk, in a team fight is probably not going to survive. There's a lot of crossfire in a team fight, and when you have a lot of, especially when you have a lot of heroes on the other team that do AoE damage or skill shots damage, you can pretty much guarantee that your Hydralisk is going to get destroyed very quickly. So naturally, having a reduced cooldown on your Hydralisk is a very good idea. For Mutalisk, I would say that Mutalisks are great for large maps where sneaking in a split push is actually a very good idea. It's very possible to sneak in a split push, or if there's even a boss camp. Mutalisks are great for soloing a boss camp, but it is possible to solo a boss camp with Brood expansion on Towers of Doom at least. I have not been able to solo a boss camp that is a golem, i.e. Cursed Hollow, for Mutalisks as well. They're very useful in pushing a lane because of their unlimited duration, which is great for pushing lanes because in Cursed Hollow the map is pretty big, and to go from one side to another, for example, or to force one of your opponents to go from one side to the other is a pretty big advantage when if you decide to start a team fight. And of course, Corrosive Saliva. Now, I don't expect Corrosive Saliva to have that high of a pick rate because it is a very niche level 16 talent. It's a very strong level 16 talent, but it's not as useful as you would think. However, if you happen to find yourself against a team that consists of maybe more than one tank character, and I do mean a true tank character, not a bruiser, so not Arthas, not Leoric, but more Joanna, Muradin, etc., Stitches. You want to pick Corrosive Saliva. It's very strong against those tanks. And of course, Cho'Gall, naturally. And of course, the last point I wanted to make is that when you're playing Zagara, you must always keep an eye on the minimap. Because if you are going to be split pushing, as this Zagara had, and you're going to be really far away, you need to make sure that your opponents are not going to try and gank you. You have to remember that Zagara's ability to escape is still not strong. Before level 20, she doesn't even have the advantage of using Endless Creep, which allows her to run a lot faster, as we will see here. As you can see, when I decide to run, Endless Creep Zagara is able to book it on out of there. But even then, you can't actually rely on Endless Creep and the 20% movement speed to bail you out if you decide to get ganked, whether by not paying attention to the minimap or just simply being unlucky. And the worst part is, there's no more Bolt of the Storm for Zagara. At level 20 you are not allowed, well, you don't have that option anymore. So you can't even blink your way out of that. There's no, that get out of jail free key is no longer available. So you really need to keep an eye on that, which basically brings us back full circle. Always be creeping. You have no excuse anymore to be creeping, to not be creeping, and when you put creep down on the floor and your opponents don't destroy them, you are able to see exactly where they are at pretty much all possible times. If you look at the mini-map, most of it is highlighted, well, most of it is not dark with the fog of war, because both the Zagaras have been placing a lot of creep, but mostly because there is a lot of creep, right? So yeah. So creep is very important. Vision is very important. These are the kinds of things that you need to keep an eye on when you're playing Zagara. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope it's been at least somewhat informative. I like to think that of all the heroes that I like to play, Zagara is perhaps the only hero that I can, with confidence, give hints and tips about when it comes to her gameplay, especially now that things have changed so much for her. They've made her neither better nor worse, I think just different, you know? Anyway, if you guys would like to check out some of the other videos I've made, I have a couple here on the side. You can always subscribe to the channel to receive notifications about when I post other videos. For example, other Heroes of the Storm videos, Overwatch. So until next time, I will see you guys later. Thanks for watching. Bye!